Georgia high school mass shooter Colt Gray sentenced to life in prison without parole. Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, this one I got for you, if you remember, happened about 2 years ago, September 4th, 2024. And I would say that in the last couple of years, we haven't had any real high school mass shootings, thank God. I mean, we have people that are killing each other, black on black crime, white on white crime. There's gun violence is at an all-time high in America, but high school mass shootings have been submerged, so to speak, which is a great thing. But if you remember this case, it reverberated across America and made international news when this Colt Gray, at the time he was 14 years old, on September 4th, 2024, Colt Gray, then 14, he opened fire at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, killing 2 students and 2 teachers and injuring several others. This was a huge story. Remember, 14 at the time. This is a juvenile. And when I talk about things that are destroying the moral and ethical fabric of America, 2 of them are at the very top. Untreated, undiagnosed mental illness and the opioid crisis, for sure. So when this mass shooting took place, it was the deadliest school shooting in Georgia's history, with 9 others wounded beyond the 4 killed. So remember, he killed 2 students and 2 teachers. So I'm doing this story, even though it was almost 2 years ago, because he just got sentenced a few days ago. So, you know, when incidences like this happen, it hits mass media, hits the news, social media, and then it kind of goes away. And you never know what happened with the case. Did he get convicted? What did he get convicted to? So I'm giving you an update on this mass shooting that took place in Georgia. And as I said, it was the deadliest school shooting in the history of Georgia. So I thought I would bring that to our attention. and we can go back on the whole storyline. So the motive. Prosecutors argued that Colt Gray was chasing infamy within an online true crime community that idolized mass shooters. So he idolized mass shooters. If that's not a telltale sign of mental illness or a red flag, I mean, come on. He reportedly had a shrine to Parkland shooter Nicholas Cruz on his bedroom wall. And investigators said he had copycatted elements of the attack from Cruz and other school shooters when he committed his crime at Appalachian High School. Jail calls with his mother showed him tracking his own online fame after he committed this crime, at one point comparing his notoriety to Thomas Crooks, the man who tried to assassinate Donald Trump weeks earlier. So there is something diabolical and mental that is wacky in this young man's brain at the time that he was 14. We talk about family dynamics all the time. We talk about fatherless homes. I talk about it. Here again, these things, these pillars that you need to have a healthy society. A lot of these kids are in disruptive, chaotic home lives. And when they leave that home and go to school, they're taking all that negative energy and all those bad skills, and they're dumping them right on these teachers, their friends, administrators at their school. It is one of the hardest jobs in the world is to be a teacher in today's time. A teacher, a nurse, police officer, firefighter, school administrator. These kids are dealing with a lot today. So what was the background? A forensic psychologist testified that Colt Gray had a pretty chaotic and lonely upbringing and showed symptoms of anxiety, depression, and paranoia, though he was not schizophrenic and could not have mounted an effective insanity plea. So he had anxiety, depression, paranoia. And was it being treated? Was his parents paying attention? Was he getting therapy at that particular time? That's why this story is a cautionary tale for people that have children. We got to get back to sitting at the dinner table, not having our eyeballs on the phone all the time, not talking to each other, communicating, not utilizing the five senses that God has given us. We've gotten away from that. And there's all kind of chaos going on today. So this kid had signs of things that were going on. He was not schizophrenic, but he had anxiety, depression, things, paranoia, things that a lot of these teenagers are going through. There's a lot being shot at their senses, their sensory organs in today's time. It's tough. I think it's way tougher than when I was growing up. So the Division of Family Services, DFCS, records cited in court described his family had family instability, alleged abuse, and neglect. And they did not specify where the abuse or neglect came from. Was it his mom, his dad? What was going on? So he definitely had mental illness. I mean, to go and shoot and kill students or kill other human beings, the level of inhumanity that we have today is at a premium. The willingness to cross the line of innocence to criminality, that line is so blurred that it's almost like it's a video game out here. I don't think these young people realize the level of gun violence and harm that they're committing to other human beings is completely godless. So the plea and conviction on July 24th, 2026, which is why I did this video, Colt Gray pleaded guilty to, listen to this, all 55 charges. Yes, 55 charges, including murder and aggravated assault. Because he was charged as an adult, he faced sentencing as such despite being 14 at the time of the crime. So you got to look, I tell you all the time, look at your state. We always worrying about the federal government and what's going on in DC, but pay attention to your local, your city, and your state politics, legislation, and the laws. Here in Missouri, here recently I did a story on a 10-year-old that accidentally shot his 7-month-old niece and killed her, shot her in the head. He's in juvenile court, and they're charging him with first-degree murder. When you look up the statute, any kid 12 and up can be charged as an adult in the state of Missouri. 12 and up. Now, they would spend that time in juvenile custody from 12 to 21 and then proceed after that. But yes, a 12-year-old could be charged as an adult in the state of Missouri. And I don't know what the state statute is in Atlanta and Georgia, but evidently, if you're 14 years old and you committed adult crime, you can do adult time. So on July 28, 2026, Judge Nicholas Prim sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, since the U.S. Supreme Court bars death sentences for juveniles. I'm going to say it again. Since the U.S. Supreme Court bars death sentences for juveniles and restricts life without parole for juveniles to rare cases of permanent incorrigibility, the judge explicitly found that this qualified. The judge said your crimes do reflect permanent incorrigibility, and he said, I will sentence you to life without parole. That incorrigibility is not an easy word. So this is the other part that makes this case so interesting, and I wanted to do the story and have you all listen. His father was involved in this and bought him the gun, the rifle that he used in the murder, in this mass shooting, knowing that his kid, or unknowingly or knowingly, was aware that his kid had these mental health issues. So his father, Colt Gray, who bought Colt the rifle as a Christmas gift. Who buys their 14-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, a rifle for Christmas? I don't know, maybe that's a white-black thing, a cultural thing, a city versus farmland or country. Folks that live in the country, maybe that's what they do. Missouri is an open carry state, so guns are a big deal. I know the NRA is a big deal, but that's not something I would think that I've ever been around that a family member would buy another family member a rifle or a gun at 14. So his dad bought him the rifle as a Christmas gift and left it unsecured despite warnings his son was dangerous. Was separately, and so the dad was separately found guilty of murder and manslaughter charges in March 26, and was scheduled for his own sentencing shortly after Colt's. So the dad was sentenced to 15 years in prison in a landmark case, testing the limits of who can be held responsible for a mass shooting. So the dad got 15 years for his accountability for purchasing the gun, not paying attention to the mental health issues that his son was having, and having an unsecured weapon in the home with the juvenile. So Mr. Gray committed, so also with the 10-year-old in the St. Louis case that shot the 7-month-old niece, the dad was 19 years old, and he got charged also with endangering the welfare of a child and some other charges, along with the 10-year-old that got charged with first-degree murder a month or two ago here in Missouri, in St. Louis. So Mr. Gray committed crimes, but his crime tethered to the crimes committed by his son. And that makes this situation a little unique. That's what Judge Nicholas Prim said in announcing the sentence of the dad. So the dad got 15 years, and Colt Gray got life without parole. He committed this crime almost 2 years ago when he was 14 years old in this mass shooting. Allegedly, this was supposed to be the deadliest school shooting in Georgia's history, with 2 students killed, 2 teachers killed, and 9 others wounded at the time. Mental illness is a real thing. We have to keep our head on a swivel, pay attention, and utilize our 5 senses. There's a lot of chaos and disruption in many of our homes in America. And if we can reach one and teach one and extend an olive branch for those that are in need, please help. And if you're suffering from mental illness or having a breakdown, there are ancillary services in the medical paradigm that you could reach out to help you. There's always help. You're never in it by yourself or backed into a corner. Tell me what you think of this story and this latest sentencing and conviction of Colt Gray. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-conscious way.